Having finished our shopping, we stopped at one of those wannabe Japanese fast food places at the mall and went home to wrap our presents. A short time later, I found myself at home wrapping the Planet Hollywood jacket I had gotten off eBay for her when she knocked lightly at my door and asked if she could talk to me. Of course. I answered, then added, "I'll be right out in a second." I finished wrapping her present and decided that, even though it was a bit early, it might help cheer her up a bit if I gave it to her now. I knew she had been eyeing that particular jacket on eBay, but would not have spent the money on herself to get it. With box in hand, I went into the living room where she was waiting for me on the couch. I handed her the box and said, "Merry Christmas, Kelly. Go ahead and open it now if you want." Thanking me, she took the package from me and began unwrapping it. "How did you ever find one? It must have cost me quite a small fortune," she said when she saw what it was. "eBay," I told her, and then added, "Don't worry about the price. You're worth every penny." Instantly, I felt awkward for my overly honest choice of words. I told her. She started to tell me how I shouldn't have and how, that I was too good to her, and that she would always cherish it. Then she gave me a big hug. After I sat down, I asked her what she wanted to talk to me about. She began, "Do you remember what you said you wanted for Christmas?" "Yeah," I replied, "but we already had supper." "No," she smiled. "What you said you really wanted for Christmas." "A little payback," she continued. "Well, I have an idea how we can both get a little payback," she said. "If you're enjoying my content, consider joining my Patreon community. By becoming a patron, you'll get access to full parts of my videos much earlier than everyone else. Plus, you'll be supporting me to create even more awesome content for you. Check out the link in the description to join now." My brain was not working really well because all I could say was, "Huh? How?" "Well, I guess you are just going to have to F me," Kelly said with a wicked smile on her face. "What?" I was shocked. Seeing the perplexed look on my face, she began to explain her plan. "Look, Billy hates you and despite being in a hole is really jealous when it comes to me. And from what you told me, Sherry felt pretty much the same way about me. I can think of nothing that would piss them both off more than if they thought that you and I had hooked up together. So why don't we broadcast a live video of ourselves making passionate love and send them a link to the feed by email?" "Oh, we won't be doing it for real. But we will be the only ones who know that. This way we can both get some revenge and you can stop feeling like a doormat." "So that's what the video camera and gear were for?" I asked after my brain had finally connected the dots. "You got it," she said. Kelly had apparently given this quite some thought and had come up with a script. We had decided that to really sell it, we would both have to be completely naked. There was no need for a C, as we weren't actually going to have it, and Billy knew she was on the pill anyway. The script included lots of foreplay, and when the time came to simulate the dirty deed, I was supposed to lay on top of her. We would not record it, but would instead send a live feed just to be sure that nobody ever got a copy of it. And so, after about 30 minutes, I found myself wearing just my undershorts in my bedroom, the video camera set up and rolling the live feed to my computer. Kelly had sent both Billy and Sherry the link to the feed. When she was sure that both were in session, we began our little show. Kelly stood before me dressed only in underwear and negligee, looking even more beautiful than I had imagined she would. Slowly, she slipped off the negligee, letting it fall to the floor at the edge of the bed. I came over to her and took her into my arms, and as I began kissing her neck, I asked her, "Are you sure you really want to do this?" "Yes," she replied and kissed me passionately on the lips. For some reason, I was embarrassed as the blood began collecting. She lowered her hands, she kissed me. I decided I might as well demonstrate the same commitment, and while kissing her on the neck, lowered my hands gently, which elicited a moan from her. "Damn," I thought, "she is really trying to sell this." She kissed me again deeply and then pushed me back gently and said, "Let me give you a little show, baby." With that, she unclasped her bra. Then she looked up at me and said, "Do you like them, honey? They are yours now. Now I am going to unwrap your Christmas present for you, darling." Then she slowly lowered and slipped out of her underwear. "Let me see what my man has for me," she said as she reached out and gently pulled down the sides of my underwear until it fell to the floor at my feet. My now raging sprang straight towards her. For a second, I could swear I saw lust in her eyes, while wrapping her arms around me and pulling me toward the bed. Then she pulled me tightly to her and kissed me passionately once again. I decided that she was a natural actress. At no time had she kissed me. She wrapped one leg around me, while whispering into my ear, "Make it look good for the camera." What else could I do? I took it only to discover that it was already quite hard. She moaned once again. I heard the zoom of the camera and could see out of the corner of my eye that it was aimed straight at her head. I had to use one hand to hold. As she took her hand and moved my head to her, all I could think of was how she was really getting into our little play acting. After a few minutes, she kissed my neck and said to me, "Please, baby, do it now." So that's how we got where we are now. I climbed as we had planned and pulled the sheet partly over us. She reached down between us as though she were helping me, but instead placed my penis on top of her belly. With the sheet covering us from the waist down, the camera would not see. She looked me in the eyes and we began our simulated dance of love. Everything was going as planned until I noticed that it was becoming difficult to keep on her belly, partially because of her simulated movements and also because it seemed to be getting wet on the bottom. Also, I noticed that she seemed to jump just a little, and her breathing was becoming more excited. Then it hit me. She must have realized what was happening because she pulled me to her as though she were going to kiss me on my neck and whispered, "I'll fix it." As the camera was fully focused on our faces at the time, she kissed me on the mouth. With that, she raised both knees and planted her feet on the bed and attempted to arch her belly towards the bed. That's the point where the script got changed. First, when she raised her knees, the sheet fell completely off of us, leaving us fully exposed to the camera. Secondly, her timing couldn't have been worse. "Oomph," I said. She seemed to spasm for several seconds and held me tightly in her arms. To make matters worse, I heard the wheeling sound of the camera's motor and realized that it was now focused directly on us. I pulled my mouth from hers and started to say, "I didn't mean." She cut me short, pulling my head to her neck as though offering it to me for a kiss, and whispered in my ear, "It's all right. It's not your fault." I turned my head to the side of her neck that was away from the camera and said, "But the camera, it's focused down there." Lifting my head, she looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Well, it's done now. We might as well give them one hell of a show." And with that, she wrapped both legs around me. I needed no more urging. I angled each stroke upward, hitting her spot each time. "That's it. F me like that, baby," she said as she turned her head to the side and began kissing. I began quickening my pace. This caused her to arch her chest upward. "Oh my God," she said. I quickened my pace. I looked down at her, and she kissed me tenderly and said, "I have been such a fool. Why did you put up with me all these years?" "I think you know, don't you?" I answered. "Yes, I do," she said to me. "What are we going to do about it? You know, this kind of thing really messes up friendships," I said. She thought about it for a second and then said, "Yes, it does complicate things between friends, but not between lovers," and kissed me passionately. After we broke our kiss, it occurred to us both that we had forgotten about the camera, and in unison we both looked over at it. The battery had run down and it was off. It occurred to me that we had forgotten to fully charge it before using it. I told her so and we both laughed. She looked thoughtful for a second and then said to me, "Hey, how about we call our next session OL Delights? But with a full battery next time?" I asked with a big grin. "Who cares?" was her response. And with that, I kissed her again, lead her by the hand to the shower.